and welcome to the Habits and Home Show. I'm your host, Lisa Lazat, and I help busy moms bring order to their homes by downsizing and decluttering and ditching old habits in exchange for systems that bring peace and more enjoyment to their lives. If you're a mom trying to show the love of Jesus to your family, but the clutter in your home keeps you overwhelmed and frustrated, you have come to the right place. On this podcast, you will hear easy, step-by-step tips to declutter and create systems so you can keep your home organized and finally walk in the peace God has promised you. Need some accountability? I've got you covered there too. Join the Accountability Club, a community of like-minded mamas decluttering and systemizing our homes together. Are you ready, friend? Let's get started. Welcome to the Habits and Home Show. This is episode 235. I'm your host, Lisa Lazat, and I help Christian ADHD women clear out the clutter in their homes and get clarity over their systems so they can finally walk in the peace God has promised them. If you love Jesus but feel disorganized and overwhelmed, you have come to the right place. Before we dive into today's topic, I want to say a quick prayer over you. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for my friend. I pray that she would find comfort, encouragement, and clarity as we talk about her home and her routines. Please quiet the noise and overwhelm in her mind and meet her right where she is. Let the words shared today be inspired by you, not by me, and let them land in a way that feels hopeful and doable. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, friend, like I always remind you when we start a new podcast topic, I want you to take some action in your home, whether you are folding a load of laundry, resetting your kitchen for the night, or making breakfast for your kids before they wake up. Take some action in your home while you're listening and use this podcast for your daily encouragement. On our coaching call this past week, we were covering the topic of time management. In January, we are covering decluttering our digital photos, our digital videos, and time management. I used to cover time management in the month of June, but I found that people get a new calendar in January. They have a new sense of, I want to do better this year. And so I want to cover time management twice inside the Accountability Club. So you can expect that if you are a member or want to be a future member or a member now. We are going to be covering time management in January and then revisiting time management again in August. Now, if you are brand new to the Accountability Club, don't worry, you are not behind. I provide you with a workbook, with videos, basically a course for you to be able to follow. Now, does that sound overwhelming? Well, then you don't have to watch the videos. You don't have to look at the workbook. I do have a simple checklist for you to follow for the task, for the focus task for that month that you can just follow the checklist to get things done. And then you can show up to our weekly coaching calls for encouragement, motivation, and some clarity coaching. All right, so in the Accountability Club this past week, we were covering the topic of time management. And one of the things that I have them do in their time management is establish their zones for cleaning in their home. And most of the members inside the Accountability Club, now keep in mind, people are there for accountability. They're not perfect. Trust me, I'm not even perfect, and I have to put my own accountability checkpoints in place so that I follow through on tasks that I set out to do. So most of the members that I was coaching one-on-one during that call admitted to not following through on doing their zone cleaning. Now, some members had been with me since the previous June and knew how to set up their time management system that I follow myself. And So they were admitting, hey, we set these up, but we are not following through on our zone cleaning. And so that gave me of course, I gave them some ideas. I give them personalized systems for that to reduce the resistance that comes with certain tasks that they typically avoid doing. That's what I love most about our coaching calls. And that's why I say, if you're going to do the accountability club, definitely come to the coaching calls, because that is where the magic happens. That's where life transformation takes place, where you feel encouraged, you get some clarity, and you move forward with the homework just for 1 week. Just for 1 week. And then I hold you accountable to complete that homework. So that this conversation that I had with my members gave me the idea for this podcast episode: motivation to clean your house and the difference between batching and daily routines. The thing about ADHD, whether you have ADHD or not, whether you're self-diagnosed or formally diagnosed, is that with ADHD behaviors and signs of the behaviors that we have that are associated with ADHD is that we can have an all or nothing mentality, or we have certain times where we have lots of energy, we are hyper focused, and sometimes we ignore the things that really need to be done, and we hyper focus on the things that we enjoy doing, like our hobbies or our crafts or other things. Let me just share a side story for you. And I'm not sure if I've shared this on the podcast yet, but last August I took a full-time job at our local high school, and I have been serving as a ESE inclusion teacher, where I go into the classrooms, the high school classrooms, and I offer accommodations to children with disabilities. I have been doing that since the beginning of school year, and my principals approached me the end of November, I think it was, and asked me if I would take an English class part-time. Now, keep in mind, I'm not sure if you know my history of education and teaching, but in my previous life before being a mom, stay-at-home mom for 17 years, or not 17, 14 years, I was a public school teacher, and I taught for 4 years, and I taught elementary. So when my son decided he wanted to try out the public high school, I was like, that gives me an idea. Let me just, go back to teaching. And so this awesome opportunity came up for this position to be a floating teacher. So I still got to see him during the day and get to know his friends. And it's been a great opportunity. So when my principals approached me with this English position, I was like, okay, I can do this part-time. So I'm 3 periods as an English teacher and 3 periods as an inclusion teacher. And I'm actually loving the balance. Now, what does this have to do with batching or daily routines or being hyper-focused? Well, with this new venture, with this new thing that I am facing, I have been hyper-focused on lesson planning, on learning the new content, and a lot of the other tasks that I had been needing to address, especially during the month of December, kind of fell by the wayside. And thankfully, the Lord, I don't know, just worked it out. And I didn't even know that this was coming, where I felt inclined to take off the month of December inside the Accountability Club. I gave everybody a break. No memberships were charged. And I even told them, I was like, you know what? It's not a good time. December is not a good time to do a new decluttering task. In November, we had already decluttered their kids' toys and their kids' bedrooms. And so it was a great time to take a break. And then this was sprung on me. And so thankfully, I didn't have a lot of other things on my plate that were pressing. And so I just dove in, and I was super hyper focused. Now I feel like, okay, we're in the 3rd week of January. I'm just now feeling like I'm coming out of the fog of being hyper focused on that one task. So I share all that to say it's okay It is normal to be hyper focused sometimes on a certain task. You might get down on yourself because you feel like that is a weakness, but I'm here to tell you that that is a superpower. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it truly is. Some people can't juggle normal life and also take on these big tasks, or they can't take on these big tasks where they have to hyper focus on this new project. And so that might mean you stay up late during that season. It doesn't become your norm though. Like I am back to going to bed at 9:30, 9:45 every night. I have already established that habit and that fundamental need in my life. Like I have to get 8 hours of sleep to be able to thrive as a human being, as the optimal person and productive person that I want to be. So hyper focusing on projects is just seasonal. It doesn't become your new norm. So if you find yourself being sucked in all the time to hyper-focused projects, then you might need to get some accountability, which obviously I offer inside the Accountability Club. Okay, so let's cover, if you're not cleaning your house, what is the difference between batching and daily routines, and how should you handle cleaning your house? Like let's break it down, how to clean your house, optimizing both this idea of, okay, batching when you're hyper-focused, when you have tons of energy, and then what tasks should be dealt with daily. So I'm going to go through both ideas, both strategies. First, I'm going to go through batching. I'm going to share with you pros and cons that I've come up with of batching your task, batching your cleaning task in your home. Then I'm going to share about 4 to 5 ideas of what you should, or what I recommend that you batch in your home. Then I'm going to go into daily routines, pros and cons of daily routines, and some ideas of what task you should add to your daily routines, and that should be addressed daily. Okay, let's dive in. First of all, let's cover the pros and cons of batching your housework. Okay, so pros of batching. First of all, it optimizes your peak energy. When you are most energetic, especially if you're a woman, and I'm assuming that most people that are listening to this podcast are women because it's for Christian ADHD women. If you're still cycling, you typically will have a peak of your hormones or of your cycle, peak energy time during your cycle. It's typically around your ovulation phase for about 2 weeks. So batching during that time is a great idea, like getting a lot of things done. Maybe you're doing all your zones, your cleaning zones during that time, and then you don't have to do any deep cleaning the rest of the month. The second pro is you optimize your peak focus. So just like I said, what that comes with our behavior of ADHD is that we go through these periods or these bouts of being hyper-focused. So for instance, on Saturday, this past Saturday, I didn't have anything on my plate. I didn't have anything on my agenda. It was cold outside, and I had a plan to get out in the sunshine because I believe in the healing powers of the sun. And now that I'm teaching all day, every day, I don't get a lot of sunshine. So I had plans to get out in the sunshine. However, the good Lord did not allow sunshine to come through that day. And I was like, you know what? It just feels like a cozy day of staying inside. And I found a new audiobook. Actually, I had a book that needed to be read for my book club, which is also great accountability. And so I found it on Cloud Library, popped it in, and I tell you, when I'm listening to an audiobook, I can get so much done. And so I went through all of my downstairs cleaning zones in a day, and I felt so accomplished. Okay, so the next pro of batching your housework is it reduces decision fatigue by grouping similar tasks together. So like I was cleaning my house on Saturday, I like to clean from top to bottom, meaning I like to do all of my tops in my house meaning if I do a fan, I do all the fans. If I dust the picture frames, I dust all the picture frames. So a top to bottom cleaning method. And then when I'm done with all of the top, then I obviously sweep, mop the floor, which is the bottom. And it works out great because all of the dust falls from the top to the bottom, and you really don't want to clean from the bottom to the top. But I stay in that same mindset of whatever I'm cleaning, I go ahead and clean that same thing in every room. So grouping similar tasks together helps you when you are batching. And then the last pro that I have for you for batching your housework is it creates a clear start and stopping point, which reduces the mental clutter in your mind. So when I was batching my planning for my lessons in my English class, I knew that, okay, I have a clear starting point. I'm starting from scratch, and I know that I have a clear ending point because when I have like that flow, most English teachers, I'm not sure how familiar you are with high school English or even high school classes, but what I have observed is that they don't follow a Monday through Friday routine like they do in elementary school classes. And so once I established that Monday through Friday routine where we start vocabulary on Monday, then we test on Friday, that was my stopping point. I felt like I could switch gears from using all my personal time to plan my lessons and plan my content and everything to now being able to use my planning periods to do that. Because you know what? If you are a teacher or if you work somewhere else or even if you work at home, do not work outside of your work hours because you are making less per hour, okay? I am a big stickler about that, and I do not want to use my free time because then you're just working away your entire life, and I just refuse to do that. So you have to say that to yourself. I refuse. That is something that came up in our last week's coaching call or 2 weeks ago, where one of my members said, I want to have a clear stopping point at night where I am off duty. I'm no longer working in my house. And so she gave me the 9 o'clock start or stopping point, and I am going to hold her accountable to slowly push that back because I want her to have even more personal time in the evening. All right, now let's cover the cons really quick. The cons of batching your housework is it doesn't build automaticity with habits. Like you're always going to have to remember to do these tasks. They're not going to become habits. Number 2, you're easy to forget or ignore these tasks that you have been batching or that you feel like need to be batched when your life gets busy. It can also feel overwhelming and impossible during chaotic seasons. So if you say during Christmas season, your house is a complete wreck and you're hosting for Christmas, it can be very chaotic to batch all of that work all at once. Now, I have said in the past, if you want your house to be cleaned quickly, then invite somebody to come over because you will batch your housework. However, batching during the holidays can be quite chaotic, okay? It also leads to an all or nothing thinking when your batching gets skipped. Okay, you feel like a failure when you set out to batch, say once a month, but then you don't get to it and then you ignore it like 3 months in a row. You say, okay, well, I'm just not good at this, so I'm never going to do it. Okay, batching does have the potential to create an all or nothing mentality, and I want to encourage you to fight against that. Okay, even if I like to not start on a Monday. I like to start on, like, for instance, eating right or exercising. I like to start right when it comes to mind. Like if I'm feeling bad for eating something today, I'm like, okay, tomorrow. I'm not going to wait till Monday. I'm not going to wait till a new month. I'm going to wait till a new day, or even just right there in the moment, just get up and start exercising. Okay. All right. So what household task do I recommend that you batch? I have 5 for you. Okay. Deep cleaning. such as your bathrooms, doing all your bathrooms all in the same day, doing all your baseboards all in the same day, floors and dusting. Okay, so batching your deep cleaning is very helpful. All right. Number 2, meal planning and grocery planning. Okay, so I do recommend that you meal plan weekly. However, I do recommend that you have a master list so that you have something to pull from, or that you go ahead and create like a 4-week rotation, and then you already have it, set it, forget it. Obviously don't forget it, but go back to it for the beginning of the week or on your weekend reset, which I hold people accountable inside the accountability club to post their meal plan for the week. And so when you're on your weekend reset and you are doing your meal plan, then that is when you update your template that is already set for you. So batching your meal planning can be helpful. Number 3, paperwork, emails, and administrative tasks. This is something that I have seen other organizers promote, having like a Sunday basket. It's possible, like if you just have avoidance to this task, that you can have a basket to collect those things. I like to just minimize the amount of paperwork that I'm dealing with on a daily basis anyway. So I don't even see paper mail that comes to my house anymore. I've established a system with my husband. He checks it. He deals with it. If it's a bill to be paid, he puts it in the visor of his truck and pays it. And I don't ever see mail. If it's junk mail, it goes in the trash. If it is addressed to me, like a card or something, then he will give it to me and put it on the kitchen counter. But that is very rare that happens. All right, number 4, decluttering projects. Yes, definitely batch your decluttering projects. This is something that we do inside the Accountability Club. We have a monthly focus, and we pull it all out. We go through it, we declutter it, and then we put it all back. You do not want your decluttering projects to last for a long time. Now, I will go over how to do this daily in our daily routines in just a minute. And then number 5, seasonal or occasional task, like organizing your Christmas stuff that you need to pack away. That is something that you want to batch and do all together, have a starting point and a finishing point. All right, now we're going to go through the pros and cons of daily routines as opposed to batching. The pros of daily routines is it optimizes the natural flow and rhythm of your day. So I have a natural flow of I wake up in my bedroom, I go into the bathroom, and then I head into the kitchen. And all along that natural flow, I have I call them my bare minimum 3, BM3s, that I do in each room before I leave that room. So I plant my feet in that room, I do my BM3s, and then I go on to the next room. That is a part of my daily routine, and it becomes, which goes to number 2, these become habits. They build automaticity and become habits. So now when I do my BM3s in my bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen in the morning time, I don't even have to think about it. It is completely automatic. Like I make my bed, I get dressed, and I put my PJs away. And then I go into the bathroom, use the bathroom, brush my teeth, brush my hair, and put on my makeup. It's very, very easy for those things to become habit now because I've done them daily. Number 3 pro of having daily routines is it keeps messes small and manageable rather than these big batching projects where you pull everything out and it sits around for a little while. It keeps the messes it keeps the messes small and manageable because you're doing them daily rather than saving them for a weekend or saving them for the end of the month. This is especially helpful for your kids' bedrooms and doing an evening reset right before you tuck your kids in at bed at night. Number 4 pro is it requires less motivation because the tasks are short and familiar. So you don't have this big build up or needing to find a podcast like this one to find your encouragement and motivation to take action on this large and daunting task. Okay, now what are the cons of daily routines? Because there's a lot of pros and it seems like the best solution, right? Well, I'm a believer in both of these and optimizing both batching and daily routines, but there are some cons to daily routines. First of all, it can feel very boring and repetitive. And I find this with a lot of my ADHD friends is that they don't follow through and they find themselves inconsistent with these daily routines because they can become very boring. But once they become automatic, you don't even have to think about them. So you're not really focusing on if it's exciting or not, right? Does that make sense? Okay, number 2 con is it can easily be skipped when you're tired and overstimulated. So if you have a daily routine of clearing your sink at night, maybe you've had a long day and you're just like, I'm going to bless myself, or I deserve to go to bed early, or I deserve to go to bed right now, or I deserve to go sit on the couch and scroll on my phone. It's easy to skip these daily routines when you feel tired already. But I want to encourage you to be your own best friend and take care of those things right now, because it is not fun waking up to a dirty kitchen. I like to close my kitchen down for the night and then wake up to be able to open my kitchen the next day. Now, number 3 is it can feel pointless if expectations are too high. So this is something that I find a lot of my members and my clients facing is that they come to me and they see the work that I've done in myself and they're like, I want to be where you are. And I'm like, yeah, but it took work. It took focusing just on my kitchen sink, which can seem so small and insignificant, but it has led to building these muscles that I have, not physical muscles, but my decluttering muscles, my tidying muscles. It started with just focusing on clearing my kitchen sink every night. So it's kind of like, I liken this to working out so much. You may have a dream of running a marathon, right? Not most of us don't, or most of us don't have that dream, but just say you did. And you're not going to go out there and run 10 miles thinking that you're going to be able to accomplish that. You have to start with, okay, maybe walking a mile. Okay, now build up to running a mile. It's the same with your routines and your habits in your home. It takes focusing on a little bit at a time and building up those muscles. All right. So it can be boring and repetitive. Number 2, it's easy to skip. Like I said, feels pointless. Number 4, last one, it doesn't replace the need for occasional deep cleaning. I love the idea of surface level cleaning, but it doesn't replace that you need to deep clean every once in a while. Like I clean as I go every single day, but there's just sometimes, like for instance, on this past Saturday where I needed to super hyper focus on my house and do a thorough deep clean. Okay, so what task should you make daily routines? Number 1, resetting your house daily, which means putting things away. It is so much easier to keep your house clean when you're doing a little bit every single day. And I encourage you to do your resets. So reset your kitchen back to its baseline. Reset your kids' bedroom when you're tucking them in at bed at night, back to its baseline. Reset your bedroom back to its baseline. If you're doing that every day, it will not build up. Number 2, surface level cleaning, such as your counters, your sink, your mirror, super quick cleaning. And I find this to be easy if you go ahead and prepare ahead of time by setting up like cleaning baskets or cleaning caddies. You want to reduce the resistance of being able to do quick cleans. You know how we in our kitchen will keep a spray bottle on the sink and maybe a rag hanging over the faucet in the sink? Why don't we do that in the bathroom? I started doing that years ago. Now, I don't like the way it looks, so I actually keep a cleaning rag and a spray bottle underneath my sink, but it makes it really easy for me to just grab and wipe it down and get it clean very quickly. Number 3, laundry maintenance. Okay, I used to batch clean my laundry. I used to batch laundry, and I would save it all up for Saturday. But then what I found is I never followed through on the last step, which is the putting away part or the folding. I don't even say folding anymore. I say wash, dry, put away, wash, dry, put away. And I found that I would have all of these clean clothes in piles on one of my couches. And when people would come over, I would move it to the spare bedroom and then move it back to the living room because I needed to fold it. It was just crazy. And so it never became a good habit for me. So now I follow a load every single day. I have 5 family members in my house, and I have trained each family member to wash their own laundry, taking it through those 3 steps of wash, dry, and put away. Yes, I do need to remind them because I still have boys that are 12 and 15 years old, and sometimes they forget. However, I have not washed their laundry in probably 2 to 3 years because we follow this 1 day a load, and they all have a 1 load a day routine, and they know the process. Like, I've taken the time to oversee and to supervise that process, and they know how to do it now. Okay. So I do encourage you now. You might fight me on it, but if you're drowning in laundry, then try the 1 load a day strategy. Number 4, dishes and kitchen resets after meals. Yes, it just makes it so much easier if you go ahead and wash your dish right after you eat. I know that y'all gotta know I'm kind of crazy. So when we were homeschooling full time, I was home with the kids full time. I found that when we used our dishwasher, it took forever to wash the dishes. Then it added an extra step where I had to unload them in the morning, or the kids had to unload them. And I was like, why am I the only one doing this? And I have to wait until they're older where they can actually load the dishwasher properly. And I just hated the dishwasher, to be honest. I didn't grow up with a dishwasher. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I had 2 hands where I would stand next to my mom, make great memories with her. So we actually removed our dishwasher. We live in an old 1950 farmhouse, and we removed our dishwasher, and I established the habit and the routine of wash, dry, put away. Wash, dry, put away. And then once I established that habit, I got everyone on board. So I can't tell you what a blessing it is to see my teenagers, 3 teenagers. I just fed my boys breakfast this morning, and I didn't even have to remind them. Now, keep in mind, for about 2 years, I had to repeat that. Wash, dry, put away, wash, dry, put away. But now I'm standing back and I'm like watching the blessing of their habits, and they wash, dried, and put their bowl and their plate away without me even saying anything. So yay for daily habits and routines. All right, friends, I hope that you got some things accomplished during this podcast episode, and I hope that you have found some encouragement to, first of all, give yourself some grace if your brain likes to batch task and to hyper focus, but not to neglect the daily routines as well. You have to have a good balance of both. And if you're interested in doing some one-on-one coaching with me or joining me inside the Accountability Club, you can find that information below. All right, I will see you right here next time on the Habits and Home Show. Hey friend, before you go, I wanted to tell you more about the Accountability Club. Each month, we'll tackle a new space in our homes and work together to declutter and set up systems so we can easily maintain order without getting overwhelmed. You'll get a new decluttering tutorial each month, the coaching and accountability you need to actually follow through, and encouragement without judgment from other Christian moms in a safe environment. And guess what? The entire club is off of social media, so you don't have to worry about distractions the world may throw at you. Sweet friend, if you're feeling stuck in your decluttering journey, this is the place for you. Click the link below to try out the Accountability Club and start decluttering today.